If you've been following the channel for a little while, you may know that I think an awful lot about automotive lighting. Take a look. Here I am going 60 miles an hour on a country road. Watch as I bring the car to a stop. Notice that the brake lights have not illuminated, but the vehicle is rapidly slowing. It only takes about 13 seconds to come to a stop from 60 miles an hour, but someone following me would have no warning that I was slowing down so rapidly. Why didn't the brake lights illuminate? That's a great question to ask Hyundai. I can't claim to know Hyundai's thought process or motivations, but in the regulations that govern when stop lamps are required to illuminate here in the US, there's a key distinction between service brakes and supplemental brakes. Strap in, folks, we're getting in the weeds. Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard number 108, Lamps, Reflective Devices, and Associated Equipment, states that stop lamps are to be steady burning and must be activated upon application of the service brakes. But what are the service brakes? What does that mean? Well, Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard number 105 says, each vehicle must be equipped with a service brake system acting on all wheels. They just mean the regular old brakes. Regenerative braking systems often don't actually engage the friction brakes until necessary, and since many hybrids and EVs are two-wheel drive, regen braking wouldn't be considered acting upon all wheels. Regenerative braking is a thing the standards writers are aware of. When using adaptive cruise control, my car is almost certainly applying an automated input to the service brake system, as would be the case for any Hyundai that's not electric. So the brake lights must and will activate. Since its one-pedal driving mode can be deactivated, that's not considered part of its service brakes. It's not required to light up the rear end. It's not actually violating anything by having brake lights that don't always work. This is utterly and completely bonkers and needs to be fixed ASAP. You don't even need to rely on my interpretation here. Back in 2009, a lawyer for Eaton asked the NHTSA for clarification on when the brake lights should activate, i.e. not the service brakes. The standard does not require the stop lamps to be activated upon activation of the HLA system. Couldn't be any plainer. If it's not the service brakes, then the brake lights don't matter. However, they went on to say that, we note, consistent with past interpretations, that Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard number 108 does not prohibit the activation of the stop lamps when the HLA system is retarding the speed of the vehicle after the accelerator has been released. If the vehicle is designed so that release of the accelerator results in braking action from the HLA, we believe this condition can be viewed as an intention by the operator to diminish speed by braking. Clearly, the SAE has a much more reasonable understanding of what the stop lamps are for. But the problem here is that the SAE isn't a regulatory body. They can make recommendations, but not law. So whether and how the brake lights work when using a one-pedal driving mode is entirely up to automakers right now. And that should not be a decision left up to automakers because apparently they suck at it. You know what would really clear this up? A regulation based on the vehicle's actual rate of deceleration. And here's, after digging through all these regulations, where my mind was blown. I thought to myself, surely Europe, the land of the amber turn signal, will have thought of this. Guess what? You haven't either. As a matter of fact, your regulations are even worse than ours because they actually forbid activation of the brake lights, specifically when slowing down an electric vehicle with regenerative braking. Electric regenerative braking systems, which produce a retarding force upon release of the throttle pedal, shall not generate a signal mentioned above. Why? A proposed update to UN Regulation 13H wants to clear this up. So, they'd like to eliminate all of this gobbledygook and simply make it such that if a car is slowing down by more than 1.3 meters per second squared, the signal shall be generated regardless of what propels the vehicle or why it might be slowing. Hopefully this proposed change gets adopted. What? Excuse me? It did? Just back in March? Really?